Hey everybody, my name is Eric Hopkins and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So, I just watched the second episode of the new Star Wars The Bad Batch animated series on Disney Plus that dropped today. This I'm going to go into a little bit of non-spoiler review before I go into spoilers here on the channel. So don't worry about me ruining the episode here before I hit my spoiler alert. This episode was not as good as the first episode in my opinion. Obviously the first episode was a longer episode. It was trying to, hit this series, coming out of the gate, really hard. And I thought they did a good job of doing so in setting up this series. And I think, don't get me wrong, episode 2 is a good episode. But it's definitely more Clone Wars centric. I'll say that it is definitely a continuation of a certain episode, which I'll get into in my spoiler talk about it here in a minute. But yeah, it definitely showed a little bit more of Hunter's character and where kind of how he is going to evolve a little bit. I think when it comes to taking care of Omega and the young girl clone that they saved at the end of the first episode. So I think that, that I'm interested to see where they take that character of Hunter for sure, and Omega for that matter. They're definitely, asking questions about her character already a little bit early on as to what she's going to become and all this sort of stuff. I thought the action in this was really well done. It had a lot of throwbacks, I think, a little bit to Solo, a Star Wars story a little bit. Also, there was a scene where I thought that they kind of directly just kind of was a little bit of an homage to the scene in Star Wars A New Hope where Han, Chewie, and Luke are all, and Obi-Wan are hiding inside the Millennium Falcon in like the storage compartments when the stormtroopers were checking out the Millennium Falcon to see if there was anybody in there after it landed on the Death Star. And so I thought there was a nice little callback there. There obviously, there definitely a lot of questions when it comes to again, they're just exploring the Omega character, the young female clone, where she's going to fit in with this ragtag group of clones. And I will say if you watch my review of the first episode, the character I thought that they were going to meet in episode 2, I was dead wrong. I wasn't even considering this. I wasn't even close to the character that was going to be their contact for this episode. Pardon my phone there. So I was completely way off base. I wasn't right in that at all. But we are going to see Captain Rex, I think, in this series, but not in this episode. So we'll have to wait a little bit longer on that. But I thought the way they tied it into the Clone Wars was really well done. It was definitely a love letter to one of those episodes, and I'll get into that here in a minute. But overall, I thought the show was pretty good. I'm interested to see where these characters go. It's a good start to the series, no matter what. And I can't wait to see, how all these characters evolve. Maybe we'll get a little bit more into the other characters of the Bad Batch. This is more of a Hunter-centric episode, but that's fine. To take a little time for each individual clone, I think that's how you're going to expand this show and make it more viable for the entire series overall. So with that being said, I want to go on and move into my spoiler segment of this review. So if you've not seen the episode, please tune out now and come back when you've seen it, and that way you get all my spoiler thoughts about the episode. Okay, so episode 2, like I said, delved highly into Omega and where she fits into the ragtag group of the Bad Batch. Obviously, she's not a soldier. She's not been bred like all the other clones in the Clone Wars. And so this episode, they go to Silicamai, which is a planet I didn't expect them to go to. And the contact that they teased at the end of episode 1 that they were going to meet was not Captain Rex like I thought. It was actually Cut and Sue, which is, for those who don't know, Cut is a clone trooper who deserted the clones in the Republic during the war. And and if you want to know a little bit more about his character and the backstory of him, go watch Clone Wars Season 2, Episode 10, The Deserter. This is a direct tie into that episode from the Clone Wars. So, and in that episode, they clearly talk about how he deserted the Clone Wars and ended up raising a family and just stayed away out of the war altogether. So they ended up meeting up with him and his family because I guess Hunter had known him. I don't think they've ever talked about how Hunter knew him, but they did reference Captain Rex in this show, and the episode of the Clone Wars, Captain Rex is the one who meets up with Cut, and obviously they know each other very well. So I mean, just where the interesting. It's interesting I'd like to know more about how Hunter knew him. Probably it could have just been through Captain Rex. I don't know, but they could have just spoken about him. But I'm glad to see that they bring in this old Clone Wars connection. It's a nice through line to kind of tie the two series together a little bit, and I'm sure that we'll continue to get little nods and homages to the Clone Wars that way, because it basically is a direct sequel to that series. So I think if they continue to pull on those little threads that, we can tie up the loose ends from the Clone Wars, which is what I want this series to do. There's so much the Clone Wars did not get to tie up due to the fact that they were canceled before, they could fully complete the entire Clone Wars stories. And I think this would be a great series to be able to tie up those little loose ends and to hopefully give certain characters that did not get proper endings in that series to get their closure, the proper closure that the character arcs deserve. And I thought this was just a nice little throw in here to bring in Cut and his family from the Deserter episode back into it. So, but in regards to that, this is an episode, like I said, was kind of focused on Hunter and how he's going to deal with Omega being, he took her in basically. It was kind of his call to go back and get her and bring her along with them on this journey. And he quickly finds in this episode that he's going to have to learn to be kind of a parent and not just a soldier, because she is still young and she's a kid, and Cut basically just lets him know that kids are he's not ready for what he's walking into here. Being a parent is something totally different. So Hunter in this episode decides he wants to send Hunter with Cut and his family when they get off planet due to the occupation of the clones after the rise of the Empire here, and but Omega does not want to go with this family. She wants to stay with Hunter. And so by the end of the episode, they kind of come to an understanding. Hunter's like, okay, if you want to be with me, you can stay with us. And Omega, it's her decision at this point. So she needs to understand what she's in for, to be with a group of soldiers instead of having a happy, safe life with a family. So this is probably going to be the last episode. I'm assuming we'll see Cut and his family. And I'm sure they're going to go off into hiding like they were before, just on a different planet. So we'll see if we ever see them again. Well, I mean, never say never. We could. But yeah, again, it just centers around Hunter and Omega and how their relationship is going to build. And Hunter is definitely growing strong connections to Omega early on here. And if we know anything from the Jedi, strong attachments can sometimes lead to bad things. Not saying that, having an affinity for someone or anything in Star Wars is a bad thing, but I got this feeling that Hunter, could be in for a world of hurt because of his feelings for Omega. They're going to use that to their advantage against him. So there could be things like that they could pull on in the future. But otherwise, a very heartfelt beginning. I like how he's taking in Omega, and it's going to be fun to see where they go with both those characters. As for the rest of the Bad Batch, they kind of just highlighted some of their skills into this. I thought at the very end of the episode we had Wrecker in the ship, and he was basically doing bicep curls with a gonk droid. I thought that was pretty funny. Yeah. So and obviously we got Tech and Echo doing their sort of things too when it comes to the mission trying to get him off planet. I also found it kind of interesting that the Empire has already started to basically deal out these chain codes for every individual in the galaxy to keep record of them. That's a scary thought. It's kind of it would be kind of like in modern day, like if we had like microchips or something to keep track of each individual person, to keep tabs on them. And it's a very interesting little bit of a political subject that they kind of threw into Star Wars, which Star Wars has always been pretty political, and especially when it comes to like governmental regimes and things like that. Because I mean, even George Lucas talked like that the Empire was based on the old German Nazis. So I mean, it's kind of. Just to kind of they threw that little wrinkle in where they were tracking like each individual code for each person in the galaxy, and they were starting to gather them up and deal them out to different people and throughout the universe. Now that the Empire's taken over right after Revenge of the Sith, so it was a nice little thing they threw in there, just kind of a little bit of information about how the Empire's keeping track of people. So I thought that was very intriguing. But overall, I thought the episode was pretty decent. Like I said, I felt like, to me, just watching it, it's a lot shorter than the original pilot. That was about 70 minutes long. This is only about a half hour. So in that regard, I think this is going to be the length of most of the episodes. It's going to be about 30 minutes, 25 minutes. Just whatever they feel is necessary. So I mean, and in that regard, it felt a little, not as important as the first episode, I guess. But overall, I mean, I like this. I like where they're going. I think we need to give the episode, or give the series, a little bit more time to, get its feet under them and, get established. But it's a good start. So I was very excited to see that. But what did you guys think about the Bad Batch episode 2 Cut and Run? Comment down below, hit that like and subscribe button, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you get all the notifications about when I put up new content on my channel. And until my next video, guys, take care. We about to turn it on.